Computer. Great. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our book study. I am Michelle Stuchel, Emerald, with my dear friend, Abby Taylor, and I'm so excited that we get to do this together. We are going over chapter 3 and 4 of Get Out of Your Head. And I hope that you've come with open hearts and an open mind, because these chapters seriously have the potential to change your whole life. And Abby is going to get us started.
All right, everybody, thanks for being with us tonight. As Michelle said, we have a ton to cover, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in with chapter 3, Spiraling Out. So you think you lost your mind. Okay, how many of us have felt this before? Be honest. Everybody, right? That was me. It's been me before. Ugh, she never responded to my message. Another person turning off their sub. I haven't had a join yet this month. That person, she never struggles like I do. No one liked my post. I don't fit in. I can't fit it in. Maybe someday I'll succeed. Next month will be better, hopefully. Guys, these are all thoughts that I've fallen prey to throughout my last 2 years with Plexus. Many of you know my story and how at one point in my business, I allowed all the false thoughts, the lies, the doubts, the untruths, as I call them, to wrap me up so tightly that I literally spiraled out of control and ultimately decided this business wasn't for me. I gave up. And guess what happened right after I made that choice? The thoughts stopped. Guys, it was the weirdest sense of peace that came over me because I had stopped fighting the mindset battle that we go through on a daily basis. The enemy had won. I was no longer a threat to him because in that moment I had given up on the plans God had for me with Plexus. To not only impact others' lives, but to change my family's future for the better. Guys, Satan is out to kill, to steal, and destroy anything good in our lives. This isn't a false reality. Guys, this is real. A real battle for our mind. I had fallen into a deep pit, and it took me 6 months to get out of it. I did not recognize the negative, false thoughts as they entered my brain. Therefore, I was not able to protect myself from those thoughts. I could not fight for them or for me, and I did not realize just how huge a role mindset plays not only in our lives, but in our business. But now I do. With God's grace and support and encouragement from my uplines, I've been able to make my comeback and take control of my mindset. What I've learned is how important it is to take control of that very first doubtful thought, that comparison, that lie. If you don't, one thought can easily turn into 2 to 10 and 100, the downward spiral. It's a real thing. And these feelings of I'm helpless, I'm worthless, I'm unlovable can paralyze us. The fake stories we tell ourselves, the false reality we create in our minds, also detrimental to not only our mentality, but to the success of our business. But there's good news, you guys. You don't have to stay there. There is hope for you, but it's going to take a choice.
Yeah, Abby, thank you so much for that. It absolutely takes a choice. And one of the things that we will be talking about in our discussion groups is what triggers those spirals. Like Abby said, maybe it's a sub going off. Maybe it's, a comparison. Like for example, and I'll share this very vulnerable, and I shared this with, April is my power partner. April Resch is a power partner for me. April, I've been doing this a year longer than April. I'm over 15 years older than April. And April blew by me. And in 2 months, she went from emerald to sapphire. And that was not my story. And that took me a hot minute to get over. And what was even worse was that I love her. So then I felt like more of a slime bucket. And so I had to sit there and I was going down into a spiral. What an awful human I am. Can I do this? Here I am, 48 years old, and I still can't develop leaders. Do you see? And what does she say? She said that these spirals creates what makes it so dangerous. It is creates an alternate reality that we live in. That's not true. I can develop leaders. I am supposed to be doing this. You are supposed to be doing this. And that toxic thinking is what's so dangerous about it. Remember, Caroline Leaf said this in her book. And Jenny Allen says this in the chapter, our brains look for evidence for what it believes. So that alternate reality, if we're saying we can't do it, we're looking at all the negatives that create this picture that supports that toxic thinking based on a spiral that isn't true, right? And she makes the comment in chapter 3. She says, the problem is doubt steals hope. And with no hope, everything that matters doesn't feel important anymore. It doesn't matter if you have 100 people ordering that are happy product users and their lives are being changed if 2 turned it off. It doesn't matter if you've got 6 up and coming leaders if one of them is stagnant, right? That doubt can steal the hope. Do you know what the number 1 predictor of suicide is? Hopelessness. It's a lack of hope. And that comes from toxic thinking. Again, you either say, I can't do this, and then your brain looks for all the reasons why. Or I can do this, and then your brain looks for all the reasons why, right? You can either tell yourself, no one wants what I have, and then all you focus on are the no's and the ignores and the ghosts. Or you can say, people want and are praying for what I have, and it's an answer to their prayers. And then you're looking for and you're attracting the people that you want. But when you stay in that spiral, that alternate reality, everything true seems to be fading away until you learn to think differently about your thoughts. And that's what she says. You've got to learn to think differently. She said she remembered she had a choice. She remembered she had a choice. Okay, chapter 4. She's in Uganda. She's with her friends. And all of a sudden, she's unzipped and all the crap comes out, pardon my French. And her friend looks at her and she says, Jenny, this is the enemy. This is not from God. The awfulness that you've been experiencing, that is not who you are. Each one of us can relate to a spiral, right? Whether it's deep and dark and prevents you from doing anything for 6 months, or it just prevents you from reaching out to a chicken lister. We each battle those thoughts, right? Each one can relate to that, whether it's small or large. But what you need to know, and what Jenny Allen so eloquently says, is that is not from God. Just like Abby said, you have an enemy. And he, just like Abby said, and just like Jesus said, comes only to steal, kill, and destroy you. Now let's think about this. Not only does he not want you to succeed, but let's think about the business that we're in. We are giving hope to people physically and financially. We are created triune beings, body, soul, and spirit. And when your body is in pain and when you're not feeling your best, it affects your soul. I was not the city on the hill, light of the world when I felt like crap all day long. I was not shining for anything, much less Jesus, when I didn't feel good. So now that I have my health back and I have the strength and energy to do what God wants me to do, do you think that the enemy is just going to say, go ahead, Michelle, go impact the world. Go change the world. Go impact others for Jesus. And what's even more important, do you think he wants my pocketbooks to be filled because he knows that I'm going to fund the kingdom of God? Absolutely not. There is an enemy out. But this is the good news. Jesus already won the war. He's already given you everything you need. Do you remember she said, where can I go to flee from your presence? Her greatest struggle was, is God fake? Is this real? Yes. Where can I go to flee from your presence? We are in a spiritual battle, but here's the good news. Jesus won, and you're on the winning side. But it's up to you to enforce the victory that he's already paid for. And you enforce the victory that he's already paid for by choosing what's going on in here, by picking up your weapons that are not carnal, by fighting, by identifying the lies and replacing it with the truth, right? Because what we are doing is so much bigger, just like Abby said, because your purpose isn't just about you and you getting a nice diamond paycheck. It's always about impacting others. It's always about the influence that you can have. Think about the influence that this woman's having with this book. The enemy wanted nothing more than to stop her dead in her tracks. Too bad, so sad. You've got people that are waiting for you to take these thoughts captive and to live who God created you to be. And how does that happen? How did it happen for her? You know what? Her friend had to turn the lights on to the very dark place that she was in. She could not do it herself. So 2 questions. Who is that person for you that will turn on the lights and speak who you really are? And 2, who can you do that for? Who can you be that light for? To call out who somebody really is. Susie Q, you can do this. You're bigger than your fear. You know who that person is for me? Brittany Howard. And guess what? She did that for me yesterday. She turned on lights for me. And I had to see some pretty not nice things. But guess what? I'm going to grow because of it. Other people will be benefited and impacted because of it. And it was enough. And do you remember what Jenny said? It was like scales fell from her eyes because the Spirit discerned the truth and she was able to move forward. And then she made a decision. She could see what was really going on, and she made a decision. Enough fear, enough mire, enough darkness, enough sleepless nights. I'm moving forward. This is not the abundant life Jesus has for me. He did not die on the cross for me to be an anxious, miserable mess. He died to make me an overcomer. I may be pressed, but I'm not crushed. I may be persecuted. I'm not abandoned. I'm an overcomer. I'm the light of the world. I'm the city on the hill. I'm supposed to be a big fat arrow shining brightly to Jesus. And so she made a decision. But when you're alone and you have nobody speaking truth into your life, she says this, alone in the dark, the devil can tell you whatever the hell he wants. So what lie is festering in your mind that you have not exposed? I had to say some lies to tell Britt. I had to tell her I fessed up yesterday. I'm not worthy of your time. I'm too, got to prove I'm not worth it. I'm afraid I'm unlovable. If you really see what I'm doing, you're going to see I'm doing it all wrong. That was a lie. Do I have areas to grow in? Absolutely. I'm human. No one on here is Jesus, so we all have areas to grow, right? So the light was shown and she called it out, and then she lovingly pointed me in the way. So what thought has kept you in the dark, and who can shine the light on it? Because when you're exposed to the truth, your spirit will soar. We need each other. We need each other. Abby?
Oh my gosh, I always love hearing you preach, Michelle. We could end right there, guys. Yeah, so I think we're all realizing that there's a war going on all around us, a battle for our minds. And because that's where all good or bad things stem from. And I think this is so crazy that we think over 12,000 thoughts a day. And 80% of those are calculated to be negative. And I don't think it's coincidence that 80% of our mindset, or 80% of our business, is our mindset. So it's an area we have to be intentional about. The fact is, we will all face battles. It isn't something we can just opt out of. I think we're kind of repeating each other here, but 1 Peter 5:8 says, "Be clear-headed, keep alert. Your accuser, the devil, is on the prowl like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour." But we have a choice whether we are going to go to battle. Will it be easy? No. It's going to take work. It's going to take patience. It's going to take buckets of grace, she says, for ourselves. I really like this quote. "I do not at all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us." So powerful. Will we make mistakes along the way? We sure will. Will there be enough forgiveness and grace for us along the way? Yes. Nobody's perfect. Silver ambassador, ruby ambassador, diamond ambassador, somewhere in between, we all struggle with the same mindset issues. There isn't one of us that doesn't. The difference is that some of us will choose to stay stuck or will refuse to take the precautionary steps along the way to protect our thoughts and our mind, yet others of us will do the heavy lifting in our thoughts. And I don't mean heavy lifting as in physical work, but mental work. I love how the author talked about how she saw healing quickly when she recognized the attack of the enemy and began fighting back. That's key. First step is to recognize where you're struggling. Are you having a hard time with the root of comparison? Maybe you doubt your ability. Maybe you struggle with feelings versus truths, because feelings are deceptive, and if you haven't noticed, they waver. Maybe you believe this can't work for you. So after you recognize where you're struggling, where the lies are stemming from, the author said she took action. She fought back. It's a verb, an action. The renewed mind and changes will not come on their own. We can wish, wait, and pray, but if we don't actually take the steps, it won't help. What sort of steps? Well, Michelle talked about the importance of community and leaning on others when you're really struggling. Do not try to keep it all inside. I know that Mindset Mentor podcasts have been a huge benefit for my team. Books like this are terrific, or even daily affirmations, cliche as these may sound. I can do this. I am capable. I am worthy of success. Those really work. Also, self-talk. Instead of "I can't do this," say "I am working to be better at this." You have to make the choice to put in the work, because even if we take all the action, do all the IPA, the reach outs, the follow-ups, the personal growth, if our mindset is not in a healthy, thriving, truth-based place, none of that physical work will matter. It will not produce good fruit. In fact, you'll still struggle with roots of fear, doubt, comparison, unbelief if you don't pull out the weed from its root. Just like learning to recruit, duplicate, or lead our teams is a skill, mindset is also a skill that you can learn to improve and develop and work on a daily basis. Daily basis, I didn't say once a week or when you have time. Just like every day begins with a new sunrise, a new morning, a new opportunity, it's essential that we fix our mind on things above and to fill our thoughts with hope, with focus, with belief, with purpose, with victory. Once we recognize the area we struggle in, take the action to improve it, then we will see the healing, the mindset shift, the change, the met goals, and the achieved dreams. Because a mindset that is focused and is full of these good things will lead to the actions we need to take to be successful in this business. So I'll end with this. Day by day, we fight to be the captors of our thoughts rather than the ones taken captive. So which will you choose? Will you go victim to your mindset or fight for victory over your mind? The choice is yours.